Well, hey everybody, this is Steve at 1000 Year Home. Welcome to Not My Build. Welcome to me pent up while it's 112 degrees outside, 34% relative to humidity. That makes it 133. Extreme danger. At this condition, heat stroke is imminent. Now, I got things to do that aren't sitting around waiting for this heat to pass. But being a mere mortal, I have to respect what the world is around me. So let's take a look here. I've been doing a lot of research because I apparently can't work on my house. But what would be an acceptable amount of time for somebody to work at 112 and 34% relative humidity, which gives me a heat index of 133? Well, I did some digging around, and I come up with the CDC has the best one, not OSHA. OSHA felt very much like we would tell you, but your bosses don't want to know. But the Center for Disease Control says, we're going to tell you. Now, the CDC, OSHA had, watch, be careful, as a manager, do this, as a worker, do that. If you're dizzy, well, if you're dizzy, it might be too late. All right, let's take a look here. So I'm inside, and I got a couple of things I've got to get done before this weekend. Listen, I got this back rack here all torn up, and because they did not send me the right part, which was one of these stake pocket passenger sides, SBY705P. Their videos say that they're quality, but I emailed them. Let's complain about a vendor. So I emailed them here, and early on, let them know, hey, I need this thing. And let's see if they've responded yet. They said 24 hours on that. We'll scroll down here. Support back rack. All right. It says here, I've been pretty patient about this. I have a torn up back rack assembly sitting in the dust instead of a truck. Let's do this back rack assembly. I paid my money. It is reasonable to expect what I paid for. Now, this sounds like somebody who's been ignored for a few times. And you know what? I have. They said 24 to 72 hours, and 6 days later, nary a peep. So I'm going to give back rack a 0. And I'm going to go ahead and make my own assembly for the passenger side using their stuff, an angle grinder, and all of that nonsense. I got a burn ban out here, so I cannot weld, but I'm going to go inside my Connex there, and I'm going to cut that welded bolt out, reverse it, and build my own. I am not pleased, and I think I would have preferred to gone with the Magnum back rack, or anything other than somebody who can't send me the right parts, nor respond to 3 polite requests for my part, and 1 that says, I've been pretty patient about this. I have been pretty patient about this. 133 degrees out there, and I got this thing out in the field trying to put a back rack on it. Come on now. Anyway, I'm going to do this in between, but let's find out how long I can work. We'll find out. So 133. So let me see. I went to CDC. They have got a work rest schedule in here. They're the only ones that seem to. And listen, they seem to tap out at 108 degrees. They're saying heavy work caution. I'm going down here at 110. They're saying 15 minutes per 45 for just sitting around. But at 112 and 111, they clock out. They say don't do this thing. So let's take a look here. Where else? Work rest. Let's go down and see what else they've got here. Well, if I take a look at this, they've got, look, partly cloudy, full sun. Now that's me. Right there's 10 minutes work, 50 minutes rest under heavy work at a mere 80 degrees. At 95, they just say stop work. Just stop work. CDC says stop work. Well, and I do agree with that. No sense dying, right? So But I'm going to go out and do a few minutes of that back rack. This weekend I have to. I got a sawmill to pick up. I got a horse to pick up. Got things to do that don't mean sitting around waiting for back rack support to never contact me back. Shame on you, vendor. And I'm going to go on Amazon, give you a 0. So that should have been in the mail to me by now. All right. But I'll go ahead and do the work for y'all. I'll do that. How about that? All right. And then CDC, I'll put these links in there for people who are talking about. Now, so I took a look here, and there are case studies. Let's go take a look at some of those case studies, because I'm older than most of the people in the case studies who've died. Well, there's lots of them. But here's a 30-year-old male landscaper that was mowing after a day. After one day mowing, 30 years old, for residential lawns. 2 hours before he died, he complained of feeling lightheaded, shortness of breath. He refused help. And then he's dead. Well, there's somebody 56. Now, that's close, but I'm still a little older than that, to be honest. All right. Well, he picked ripe tobacco for 3 days, but he did that at 93 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm at 112 with a 133 heat index. So this heat index was 86 to 112. My heat index is 112 to 133. Kind of a lot more. Here's a 44-year-old who died. So some of these folks, it surprises me how, you really have to take good care of yourself. Drink and hydrate. Here's an interesting thing. I'll put this up on YouTube. So how do you know if you're hydrated properly? I am telling you that the CDC has thought of everything. You can check yourself right there. They give you a urine color chart, not to be real bold, but there we go. If you can find out whether or not you're in big trouble out there in the heat or not, just by keeping track of yourself. I'm going to say I'm probably acclimated. But what I'm going to do is go out, put a few pieces on that truck, and just kind of move like that. So if I would have had all the pieces in the bag, I would have got it done in the morning. I would have been all set. But here I am, hard up against the weekend coming up, and I'm in trouble. All right.